What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Alex here from Team Generations, back again with another deck profile. Today we're going to be looking at a list for Shadow Paladins. This is for Mesmerizing Witch Fianna and the Shadow Paladin Witches. Now, I previously actually recorded this video, but I wasn't exactly all in on the deck. I had some doubts about it, so I was like, you know what, I'd rather not post something I'm not, like 100% confident in. But I kind of went back, retooled it, just changed my direct approach to the deck, like my overall mindset, and I'm going to kind of go over that as we go throughout the profile. But I think this deck is definitely not as bad as a lot of people say it is. I think there's a lot of personalities out there that kind of say, you know, this deck is absolute trash, like don't buy it. And, you know, it might not be the tier 1A deck that you're really looking for, but I don't think it's absolute trash. And if you play this as more like a mid-range kind of control deck, I think that you can kind of pace the game in your favor and just kind of stall out and end up winning. And this deck really grinds well, has a lot of card advantage, so I'm going to go over my build. It's not crazy different from a lot of other people's, but I think that once you apply this mindset, I think you can see a lot better results. So without further ado, let's hop right into that. Alright, before we jump into it, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody who has subbed so far. We're at like 360 subs. Really appreciate it. Appreciate all the love. If you guys are new to the channel, just checking this content out for the first time, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button if you learned anything today, possibly leaving a like on the video. But without further ado, let's jump right in. We are starting off with 4 of our boss unit herself. This is Mesmerizing Witch Fianna. So her skill, act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. You get to retire 2 rearguards, search your hand or deck for up to 1 Witch of Reality Femme, and call it to front row rearguard circle. If you search your deck, shuffle your deck, and then this circle that the old unit is on becomes a Vanguard Circle until the end of turn. Its second skill continues on Vanguard Circle during your turn. All of your Vanguards get an additional 5k attack for each of your opponent's grade 0 rearguards. So upon initial read, like the second skill doesn't exactly make sense, but it pairs well with the second card we'll go over in just a little bit. That does give it that nice power boost. And the first skill, having that additional Vanguard Circle, really helps you just apply a little bit more pressure with those drive checks, which really equates to additional hand size, a little bit more card advantage, so allows you to just grind out games a little bit more. It's nice too that you can call the Witch of Femme from your hand, because if you do draw into too many of them, you know, a couple of them are in the drop or whatever, like you can call it from hand, like you're not just screwed if you draw into it. So that is a nice little bonus. And the retire 2 counterblast 1 is a little bit heavy, but it's not too bad in Shadow Paladins because we do run the main in here, spoiler alert. But overall, really solid card, and I'm definitely digging it. So yep, running that at a 4 of. I really like the art on it too. The foil is really nice. I like that like stained glass kind of background as well. Now for our last grade 3, I'm actually running one of these. This is the Phantom Blaster Dragon. Now we are running this package in the deck. I'll kind of go over that in just a little bit. I don't think I really have to go into the skills so much because we aren't really using it for the skills. We're just using it to accelerate onto grade 3 first, which I will demonstrate a little bit later. So if you're new to the game and don't really know that combo, just stay tuned for that. But just running this guy at a 1 of. I'm running the leanest package you can possibly do, just 1 of every card, kind of to deal with that, just to make room for other things within the deck that kind of net us more advantage. Alright, moving on to our grade 2s then. Starting off with the main girl herself, this is Witch of Reality Femme. So this is your main target that you really want to be calling out every single turn. This is what the card that really makes the deck work alongside your Vanguard. So her skill, act on Vanguard Circle once per turn. We get to Soul Blast 1, and your opponent chooses 2 grade 0 units cards from his or her drop zone and calls them to Rearguard Circle with grade 1 or greater units on them. If no cards were called, this unit gets an additional drive until the end of turn. So not too bad overall. We're getting possibly an additional drive check, so you could be swinging with 2 twin drives for the entire turn, and you're also really clearing your opponent's board. So if your opponent has, you know, a lot of like protect 2 markers or whatever it is, they didn't fill the board necessarily, like you can be kind of getting rid of their units, punishing them for guarding early, whatever the case may be. And remember too, the Fianna also gets a power buff for every grade 0 rearguard on your opponent's field, so this guy will be a little bit stronger. Overall, not like the craziest skill in the world, and sometimes like we want to make sure that we're not running into soul blasting issues, but I feel like this is a good pressure card. Like you're just applying that pressure turn after turn, like I said, netting that advantage with those drive checks to your hand, so not too bad overall. And again, I really like the artwork on both these guys. Moving on then to the next grade 2. So for a while, I was actually trying a different card, but I ended up deciding to go with this. This is an oldie but goldie, Darkness Maiden Maka. So been around for a while. Its skill, act on van or rearguard circle once per turn, counterblast 1 and call a grade 1 or less card from your hand to rearguard circle, draw a card, and then this unit gets an additional 5k until the end of turn. So this card, basically, you're looking to, there's a couple cards in here that have effects that when you're, when it's called out from your hand or when called, do XYZ. This kind of helps facilitate that. I know the counterblast is a little costly, but we're running something to kind of mitigate that as well. I think that the card advantage that you get off of this with the draw and that little extra power really puts pressure on. It can be early, even mid-game. Like if you're threatening, if you had to retire something behind this unit and you wanted to really still be pressuring for a hit, you can swing first with this, and this is a 15k, so it will hit. It will at least pressure for that hit, forcing them to guard out or take that. So not too bad overall. I find that, like, I was running Leofall before previously. It just wasn't as impactful. Didn't get that draw off, and like, yeah, you can go and get that other grade 1 that you really want, like maybe it's a Sharon or something like that just to extend your play, but overall it just wasn't having enough impact, I feel like, on the game, whereas this does. This pressures for that hit, gets you that extra card in hand, and really activates some of those abilities that we might be drawing into having those grade 1s in hand. So overall, I like this card better than Leofall. You can kind of play with the ratio as you see fit if you want to change it up, but I think the power is, and the draw power, just really, really nice. Then to round out our grade 2 lineup, I am just running 2 of these cards. This is 1 Dump Hood Dragon and 1 Blaster Dark. So this is for the PBD Ride Chain. I will demonstrate that in just a little bit. I'm not going to go into the skills of these cards really because we don't really need them. I don't really plan on like using them too much. But overall, this guy, what he does is Soul Blast 1, retire this unit. You can search your deck for a Blaster Dark and make sure that you have this for your second grade 2 turn, which really, your grade 2 turn, which really enables you to get on that Phantom Blaster Dragon early and generate an extra marker, which creates pressure for your Vanguard overall on the later turns. So yeah, moving into the grade 1s then, I'll get into that PBD Ride package in just a little bit. I'd say the most important grade 1 is still in the main. Thankfully, they did reprint this in Festival Collection, so pretty affordable, but we're still running this at 4 of. This is Skull Witch in the main. Her skill, act on rearguard circle, rest this unit, search your deck for up to 1 5k card, and then call to an open rearguard circle. We get to then shuffle our deck, and this ability may be used by a card with the same name once per turn. So you really want to just be able to use her to generate an extra body on Soul, potentially to retire for the Fianna's skill. Very, very effective overall still. Like, we just free card advantage, really. Just rest this unit, like, big deal. There's also, like I said, a card or two that does kind of pop an effect off of when it is called. So I think this pairs well in the deck, and you absolutely need this in order to basically get that PBD ride off in the beginning. Like, it's very hard to do it if you don't have that. So all you need is this and any other grade 1, and you are good. You should be good, at least. All right, moving on to our next grade 1, we are running 4 of Coldblood Witch Luba. So this is the new card out of clan selection as well. Her skill, auto on rearguard circle. This ability's cost is reduced by counterblast 1 for each one of your opponent's grade 0 rearguards. When placed, we get to counterblast 2 and put a grade 2 or greater normal unit from your drop zone to the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So, excuse me, this basically recycles our Fems. So if we don't have them in deck, if we just, the game has progressed on, like we're at that point where we're grinding out, don't have any left, we can actually put this back in the deck with her and then draw off that. And then if you do have those grade 0s, obviously, like, you're not paying anything for this cost. It's pretty free. It just replaces itself, a little bit of a filter. And a lot of cards in here just draw, like, you're getting that card advantage. That's like the main theme of the deck: survive, draw, get that just a little bit more advantage. So I feel like this card is very good. You just have to time it correctly and it can be very impactful. Moving on then, we are still running 2 of this. This is Cherishing Night Brandman. This is the grade 3 searcher for standard Shadow Paladins, or I should say V premium Shadow Paladins now. It's continuous van or rearguard circle during your turn. If our drop zone is 3 or more grade 1 cards, this unit gets an additional 5k. Its second skill is the typical grade 3 searcher, just, 1 place from hand, search the top 5, add a grade 3 to hand. If you added a card, ditch a card from your hand as well. So just for a little bit more consistency, like, I find that we do draw a lot in this deck, so I'm not always like searching out those grade 3s. You only run 4 of them in the deck anyway, and they're not like the most essential thing to re-ride every single turn because you do have the Phantom Blaster Dragon package in here. So just running it at 2 of. It's a nice booster if you need it for that as well. All right, moving into our next grade 1 then. This is going to be Blackwing Swordbreaker. So her skill is on auto on rearguard circle. When placed, counterblast 1, draw a card, and this unit was placed from hand. This unit gets an additional 5k until the end of turn. So you can pair this with the Maka to get that extra 10k, kind of double up. I know it's like a 2 counterblast play, but you are drawing a card off of it and the Maka, so it kind of replaces itself. On top of that, this is a main target too, so you can, you know, use the main, draw a little bit deeper into your deck, gain that advantage a little bit further. I like this over Eagle just because I think that we have to watch our soul. Like sometimes I find that if we're popping out that Fem 4 turns in a row, like our soul might be depleted. Like you're not riding another grade 3. If you're not consistently riding, you're not going to be generating too much soul. We are running a card in here that kind of helps with that, but overall, I think I like that power just a little bit more. And if you're putting this behind like a Maka or whatever it is, like become a 25k column, the 10k boost is just like much better than having that 5k. And this could be just a body to get rid of on board as well. Again, just in the main target. So overall, still solid. I think that this definitely deserves a spot in the deck. Moving on then to our next grade 1. This is to really help with our soul, actually. This is Accomplishing Knight Daliet. No, how do you say this name? Daliet? I don't know. Anyway, auto on rearguard circle. When placed by your card's ability, soul charge 1. This ability may be only be used by a card with the same name once per turn. So this isn't a main target. This basically helps us fix our soul a little bit. Just enables us to kind of keep our game plan going. This is nice too to pair with that Maka. Again, just kind of call it from your hand, pop it out. I know Leofall was a little bit more effective with him, but I just think that card advantage you get off Maka is better. Nothing too crazy here, just a soul charge, and that is that. And it could be a retire target then for your main grade 3 Vanguard. Next up, I know we do kind of rely on the, oh god, is my, I don't know if that's my sleeve or, I don't know. I see a little scratch on my card. I think that's my sleeve though. Could feel it. But anyway, this is Black Sage Sharon. Her skill, auto on rearguard circle. When placed by the ability of your card, Soul Blast 1, counter charge 1, and this unit gets 3k until the end of turn. So we are really looking to basically conserve our counter blasts in this deck. We can use them. This is kind of just extends our play, gets us a better body on board, a little bit stronger overall. Not too crazy. Like, I know it pretty much costs a counterblast to get this out because this is not in the main target, but it kind of countercharges, does its own thing, gets that extra 3k. It can be that body on board, also that you retire. So overall, not terrible. I think this does deserve a spot at a 2 of. Moving on then, this is going to be our final grade 1. Now this is a bit of a spicy pick. This is Knight of Old Grudges, Methalio, I think, Mateo maybe? I'm not sure. Anyway, auto on rearguard circle once per turn. When your rearguard is retired by a card's ability, you may have this unit get an additional 10k until the end of turn. So obviously we are looking to just use that Counterblast 2, or Counterblast 1 retire 2 units. Like, this is guaranteed to go off every grade 3 ride pretty much. This is an extremely powerful card. Like, that 17 hits great numbers. Like, you're going to be boosting your Vanguard from those grade 0 rear guards on your opponent's side of the field. You're going to be getting that 17k boost from this guy. This can make for a really powerful push, and I've ended games with this guy, so it's not game breaking if you don't see it, but it is very nice if you do. I don't like to retire him. I like the art on it too, I guess, if that counts for anything, but overall I think it's good. It does kind of deserve a spot in the deck, maybe as like a sneaky little tech, but you can swap that out, add something else if you want. But moving into the triggers, a little bit interesting here. I'm actually running 2 Sentinel crits and 2 the draw crits, so I'm running 10 crit total with those Sentinels. I'm running 4 heals and obviously a starter, so I just think that we have to take advantage and kind of pressure a little bit more than a lot of other decks, just because we do have multiple drive checks during our turn, and being a force deck, I feel like you can get away with the 30k shields a little bit easier. I know in the game right now Hamiel is tough with the Sentinel restricts, but overall I kind of like that ratio. Like, I find that card in hand, it helps me conserve too when I'm just looking to guard out, you know, a single card, not dump 2 cards for a perfect guard. But we're getting a lot of card advantage anyway off of a lot of the different cards in here, so I don't feel like the draws are absolutely necessary. They're really good early game, I feel like, when you're starting to ramp up and get that card advantage, but overall not too crazy. Just, you know, tweak this as you see fit. You can run just 1 Sentinel crit, none whatsoever. Just run the standard 4-4-8. Bump it however you like and what you really think is optimal. But we'll go into a test stand now. I'll just demo that PBD combo kind of ride chain, and then we'll get into a test hand and really play. All right, cool. Let's start off over here. So let's pretend we're on our first grade, you know, obviously our grade 1 turn, and we draw into, let's say him, and we'll go for in the main. This is all you really need. So what we're gonna do is basically from hand, we're gonna ride him. We're gonna call down the main. I'm gonna rest the main, and I'm gonna call out the Dump Hood Dragon. Because this is a 5k body, even though it is a grade 2, you could still, you know, call it from the deck. I'm going to use his skill to Soul Blast 1, retire this unit then, and I'm going to get a Blaster Dark, add it to my hand off of that Dump Hood Dragon skill. Excuse me. Next turn, what I'm going to do, you know, stand, draw, whatever. I'm going to ride this Blaster Dark, and I'm then going to use Nemain again. Don't use any of the Blaster Dark skills, by the way. I'm then going to get a Freezing Witch Bendi from my deck. I'm going to call the Bendi down. I'm going to then Soul Blast 1, retire this unit, and if my Vanguard is Blaster Dark, I get to call out a Phantom Blaster Dragon from the deck and then add that, ride that. So, boom, we're on our grade 2 turn, and then we automatically get that force marker on our grade 2 turn a little bit quicker, just to make sure that we get pressure overall. In terms of what force marker I use in this deck, it really depends. Like, I think against other force decks, it could be advantageous to go force 1. We're not stacking like a ton of force markers though, and I think the drive checks do kind of just give us a lot of inherent pressure anyway, so you can go force 2. I found myself probably like a 70-30 going like force 2 most of the time, but sometimes going force 1. It just really depends the matchup. Makes it really tough too for, I think, Excel decks if you do go on that protect 1, if they're, force 1 when they haven't taken a lot of damage early game. So yeah, overall, just, you know, play the deck out, see what really works for you, and kind of adapt your style deck to deck. This isn't like a, oh, you must run this force marker, you must run that one. So yeah, that's really my advice. But let's jump into the test hand now. I'll show you how this deck really plays out. All right, so let's shuffle up over here and get started. Overall, this is like a really fun deck in a lot of ways. This isn't like a tier 1A strategy where you're just gonna bust down the gates and like roll your opponent like on your first grade 3 ride. This is definitely a bit of a longer game, and so long as your mindset is there and you're not just like wasting a lot of cards from hand, like I feel like you can really survive and kind of thrive with this deck. So I really like those extra drive checks. Adds a little bit of suspense with like the, you know, have to luck sack to maybe get a crit here or there, but it could potentially work out in your favor. So that is always a fun strategy in my head. So we do get the Nemain first. That is very good, but we got a bunch of other grade 1s. I'm gonna keep the Branwyn just so we can search out maybe a grade 3. That's a good ride target. Yeah, I'm gonna put the other 3 back into the deck, see if we can get a grade 2 at least here. 1, yep, we did. 2 and 3. All right, so we got the Branwyn in, the Bendi in hand, so that's not a big deal at all. Let's shuffle back up our deck here and get started. So hopefully the ride chain, I think, will be absolutely fine. Just can't draw Dump Hood. There we go. All right, let us stand and draw. All right, we did not draw a Dump Hood, which is good so far. We're then going to ride and draw. We're gonna pretend we go first just to make it a little bit easier. We're then gonna search the top 5 for a grade 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. We do find a grade 3, but I wanna keep him in deck just because we're gonna get that ride chain off. So I'm gonna say no, pass on that. Don't have to discard from hand either, which is good. There we go. Shuffle up, shuffle up. All right. We are then going to call down the Nemain. And I'm gonna use Nemain to get that Dump Hood Dragon here. Where is he? There he is. All right. Actually, before I shuffle, let me just find that Blaster Dark. Where did that go? So Dump Hood is going to get that Blaster Dark, so essential for the ride chain here. All right, Blaster Dark, there we go. Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. All right. And now we're going to Soul Blast 1, retire that Dump Hood, and we're going to add that Blaster Dark to our hand. So the only bad thing about this ride chain, it does deplete your soul, but that's what the other grade 1 is really for, to kind of refill it. We're then going to pass it to our opponent, take a damage for their turn, crit. All right, very good. You can see that? Yeah, you can see that. All right, cool. We're then going to stand and draw. All right, so we are then going to ride the Blaster Dark. Not going to use its skill. We're going to use Bendi then. We're going to call her down, Soul Blast 1, and we're going to retire herself. Then we're going to search our deck for that Phantom Blaster Dragon, and this is the grade 2 acceleration that we're really looking for. If you have this, it definitely helps you. I feel like if you don't really get this off, it can be a tough game. It could be like a real long grind. So you always want to be trying to get that. And I'm just gonna say we are going to put that Force 2 marker on our Vanguard circle. Let's put the Mordred one for Vanguard over here. Yep. All right, cool. And now, is there anything else I want to do from hand here? No, I'm going to keep this in hand. We don't have any grade 0 things now. So we're just going to swing. This is going to, actually, did I use the main this turn? No, because I had the Bendi. I don't think I stood it up well. Before I swing, I'm actually going to just go back and grab out like a sword breaker just to get a little more card advantage here. Boom. Sword breaker. I'm gonna call it down if they guard out. If you hit a trigger, you can put it on there. So I'm just gonna pressure in that front row. I know it's a little bit easier to be targeted, but whatever, that's fine. All right, so let us then counterblast one, draw, and then of course we draw all of our triggers. And then we're gonna swing with the Phantom Blaster Dragon. Boom, let's say they guarded this one. All right, no big deal. I don't think this would really hit, but we're gonna pass it over to our opponent then, take 2 damage for their turn 1 and 2. All right, heal, so we're gonna heal 1 out. Let's see, we're gonna draw into our grade 3 Vanguard, the Witch of, was it whatever, Femme? Yeah, we do. Wow, look at that, holy shit. I cannot believe I got that on camera. All right, cool, so that's actually good, that's really good. So we're not playing like a lame, first grade 3 turn. I'm gonna ride her. Oh my god, I still can't believe it. Jeez Louise. We are then going to call down the Force 2 marker over here. We are gonna use Nemain again. I am gonna use Nemain, and I'm actually gonna get the grade 1 here. I wanna start stacking my soul a little bit. There we go, I'm gonna use that. Call that down. Going to use his skill. When placed by a card's ability, we're gonna soul charge 1. Right, of course we soul charge a trigger, very nice. I'm gonna retire 2 units, 1, 2. I'm going to counterblast 1. I am then going to, do have one in hand, but why do that when you can do it from deck? Deck thinning is deck winning. I'm gonna call out a Femme from the deck. There we go. All right. Now I'm going to use her skill. I'm going to cap Soul Blast 1. Let's pretend that there's nothing that we particularly need, whatever. Let's just put the grade 2 in there just in case we do want to use the cost of, for the cost of Cold-Blooded Witch Luba. Let's see. We are going to assume they don't have any units on board. It was just quick 1, 2, 3. They're only on grade, they're on grade 2 here, actually, yeah. So we're going to swing here. We're going to start off with a Twin Drive 1. Let's do power, draw. 2. Again, just depends where exactly, you know, they're guarding and whatnot to give the power to, but we're gonna swing again, and we are going to go 1 and 2. All right, cool. We're gonna, yeah, we have a fat hand already, like we have a lot of triggers in hand. This is where the game starts really ramping up. If you wanted to, you could do a little bit more. I could have, I think I got that Machina in hand. I could have done something with that, but overall, very nice card. I think the deck is very capable of holding itself out for a while. This card helps too with the recycle, just draw a Maka, again, drawing right there. So overall, yeah, I am happy with the deck. I know it's not the absolute craziest thing in the world, but this is the idea that you want to do. Turn after turn, re-ride, stack those markers, whatever the case may be, and just keep swinging and like hold out, guard smart, take a little bit where you need to, and yeah, that's really the main strategy overall. Thank you guys so much for watching again. If you learned anything today, maybe consider hitting subscribe on the channel, possibly leaving a like on the video, but this is Alex from Team Generations signing out.